So getting into the fun side of things, for those who love stats as much as I do, we've got this year's head-to-head records. Foylan didn't really have a tough time against the rest of the league, but had an unbeaten season against Niall in his debut. Ahmed was really the only title contender this season apart from Foylan, who did manage to pick up 3 wins against this year's champion. Ahmed, however, seemed to struggle when up against Niall, especially the week of the United protest, but was pretty comfortable against Alex with 5 wins from 6 games. Tomas, just like Foylan, had a perfect record to Niall with 6 wins from 6, a handful of head-to-head losses, but I've gone with myself as the bogey team just because he had to keep signing my rejects when I sold him. Lacazette, Martinez, Aguero to name a few. Ross had a pretty good season with Alex and Niall being the more favoured fixtures, while Nicholas certainly had his number up until their last game of the season. They were the only 2 to have a draw all season. Alex had a bad time as previously mentioned with Ahmed, but despite being AFK for the majority of the season, he still would manage to upset me when it mattered most, famously when I said Martial wasn't a threat against Sheffield United. Nicholas had a rocky season and trouble when it came to Ahmed, but Tomas was quite the rival this season as they swapped places in the mid-table over and over. As mentioned earlier, Ross was his best fixture, only losing 1 of the 5 games they played. It was a poor season for myself compared to last season. What's worse is that I'll always talk up a big game before losing. Foylan got his sweet revenge for last season, winning 5 of the 6 games this year. Beating Foylan the day he won the league is the best I could offer. I didn't really have a favourable team to face this year because I was so unpredictable, but the matchups against Niall were always interesting. Lastly, Niall in his debut season, a tough introduction to the draft which hopefully he will learn from next season. His strongest performance must be when rattling Ahmed at the top of the table and Nicholas, who was also chasing 3rd. Of course, as we already know, losing every game to Foylan and Tomas will be the one he'll want to change next season. Looking at the best players of the season, Ahmed leads the way with his captain pick Fernandes, who finishes his first ever Premier League season as the highest scoring player. The not so big red machine Kane finished 2nd for Ross, and Salah for Alex was the 3rd highest player this year if only he had looked at his squad throughout the season. Son scored more points for Nicholas than his own captain De Bruyne, and Bamford was more consistent for Foylan than his own captain Aubameyang. Vardy did the job for myself throughout the season. It's just a shame that my second pick Aguero only played 11 games. Martinez was a great signing that got me 20 plus weeks of points. Mane and Rashford for Tomas was not as consistent as hoped, but still when they came up big. Dallas perhaps the surprise factor of this top 10 list. Everybody loves a defender who plays midfield and gets you plenty of returns. Ahmed was quick to see this and kept him to the end. So with the completion of our 2nd season of the Copa del Rey Houghton, I compiled together an all-time head-to-head to get a better look at some potential rivals for next season. Foylan looks to have a strong matchup against Tomas, but I had to say Niall this season as he is yet to lose there. As for a potential rival, a pretty balanced ratio all round, but has lost the most games to myself, so can always expect a battle there. Ahmed has 9 wins over Nicholas in their 11 game history, however between Foylan and myself the only 2 players to ever beat him at the end of a season. Tomas has a hard time against Foylan with 9 defeats in 12 games, having played that extra 1 this season, but just like Foylan you would have to give his favourite opponent to be Niall with his unbeaten season against him. Ross has a good ratio against Alex with 1 of his 3 draws coming last season and only losing 4 games from 12, while Ahmed is the weak point for him, losing 7 times in just 11 games and even a draw too. A pretty balanced ratio for Alex, having the most wins against Nicholas but losing 8 games from 12 against Ahmed. Nicholas had a chance to go unbeaten against Ross this season and has a good record to show for it, while Ahmed becomes an unlucky team to face for the 3rd time with 9 wins over Nicholas in 2 seasons. A strange one when making this, but despite me putting myself as Foylan's bogey team, he would also be considered my own bogey team to face, especially after the 5-1 head-to-head this season. With most of my wins coming against Ross, he would have to be my more favoured fixture. So winning this season is not just about who you pick on the first day of the season, it's also crucial that you follow the games and look out for the players in form who are free agents. And this year, because of the extra player, the pool was limited even more, but that didn't stop some amazing signings to unfold. Foylan made some great calls with the likes of Bamford, but it has to be said that lingered was when his season changed as he embarked a 7-game win streak to catch and overtake Ahmed. Ruben Diaz was perhaps the best signing for Manchester City and Ahmed this season. While Stuart Dallas did get the most points, I feel Diaz was more spread out on a weekly basis for consistent wins. Tomas picked up Gundogan just as he hit form before winter, and it was an absolute incredible performance to give Tomas some great weeks to strengthen his already incredible midfield with Mane and Rashford. With Ross I had a few to choose from like Gareth Bale and Jack Harrison, but perhaps his signing of Greenwood towards the end of the season was incredible to challenge for 3rd. Alex made only 3 transfers to his side all season. Callum Robinson and John McGinn were 2 of them, but Reece James of Chelsea was the other, who did come up with some clean sheets every so often to get some good scores. Nicholas signed Souček early in the season, who was impressive throughout the season as West Ham challenged for Europe. As for myself, I only made 97 transactions and may have signed every great player at least once. I can't decide who the best signing was. Perhaps it was John Stones or Martinez, but I'm going with Iheanacho, who gave me some life at the end of the season. Niall never did come back to his squad, so I have to say one of his best signings was Chilwell, who got him some clean sheets when it mattered most, but Grealish was also good if not for his injury. So that's all the stats I've got for you this season, and I hope you enjoyed them. If there was anything you think I missed, leave me a comment below and I'll see if it's possible to do a video on it. But for now, that's the last video for this season. Once again, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you all again soon. See you later.